the mortal incarnation of folklores, the actress who fooled the heavenly principles, the timid yet haughty superstar of Fontaine, the must-pull character of Genshin Impact. Welcome to Furina, the character who redefined supports in Genshin Impact. Hello, this is Tofudon with another Genshin Impact video. With the rerun of Furina hot on our heels, I thought this is a good time for us to talk about what makes Furina an exceptional character that arguably makes her a must-pull for any player. I'll break this down into 4 main sections. I know it's a lot, but I'll do my best. 1. Furina wields Hydro. In my very first video on this channel, I created a tier list of the elements in 4.7. In this tier list, I placed Hydro in meta breaking. I said that specifically with the release of Fontaine, Hydro grew to become an element that is widely considered extremely important to the current meta. To be fair, Hydro was very relevant thanks to Xingqiu, Childa, and Yelan, but characters like Neuvillette and Furina changed this narrative. By far, Hydro has the best elemental reactions of all the elements, excluding Dendro. Hydro is the most flexible element which can be used in combination with every element in Genshin. It's important to vaporize, freeze, bloom, hyperbloom, burgeon, and electrocharged. All of these reactions are capable of contributing a lot to whichever team comp utilizes it. The very element that Furina wields is an advantage for her to take advantage of both in the overworld and in the abyss. 2. Furina is a Hydro elemental skill sub-DPS. Hydro sub-DPS characters are nothing special, really. We have Yelan and Xingqiu, both of which excel in both Hydro application and sheer damage. Furina, however, has one primary advantage over these Hydro superstars. Furina's sub-DPS damage is from her elemental skill. I know it sounds insignificant, but it is critical for all sub-DPS characters. Almost all sub-DPS characters deal most of their damage with their elemental bursts, with exceptions for Fischl, Raiden Shogun, and more. In terms of Hydro sub-DPS, both Yelan and Xingqiu have to pop ultimates for their sub-DPS damage. Furina doesn't, setting her apart from the other characters. Further, her damage is buffed by the number of teammates above 50% health. If you have a healer, you are almost guaranteed a buff on her damage constantly. These mechanics are unique to Furina, making her extremely powerful, even to a greater extent than Yelan and Xingqiu. All this damage at the cost of an elemental skill cooldown. 3. Furina is a burst support. Furina's burst is called Let the People Rejoice, and I certainly rejoice when her ultimate recharges. Furina really lives up to Hydro's main concept, which revolves around HP increasing or decreasing. Furina's ultimate is a buff which scales on the fluctuation of nearby party members. These mechanics, especially with main DPS characters who scale off of HP like Hu Tao, Riothsli, Neuvillette, even Xiao, whose ult drains HP, makes her truly special in her ability to buff teammates. This doesn't mean she cannot cooperate with main DPS characters who do not scale or fluctuate HP. Furina can take advantage of Hydro's strengths to make up for this discrepancy. That being said, Furina's Hydro application is not on par with Yelan or Xingqiu. If players are looking for strong Hydro application, I would suggest they use Yelan or Xingqiu. If players are looking for a strong sub-DPS with support abilities, I would suggest they use Furina. When Hoyo introduces characters who are as competent as Furina, I, as a sort of free-to-play player, worry that it will become difficult for us to enjoy the game without the newest, shiniest character. When it comes to Furina, I doubt that she will replace the likes of Bennett, but I have no doubt that she has a firm place in the Genshin meta. 4. Furina has amazing synergy with most characters in the game. I mentioned this in the last section a bit too much for this to be its own section, but I want to emphasize Furina's exceptional synergy with most characters in Genshin. Every main DPS in Genshin Impact can benefit from Furina's buffs, and some will benefit from her sub-DPS damage.
We cannot neglect the fact that Furina is at her best in a team comp with a lot of HP fluctuations, but we can easily reach this threshold for maximum buffs by taking damage and healing. Thus, so long as you have a healer who can keep your teammates all above 50% HP, you can maximize Furina's Salon member damage and buffs. This means the remaining 2 spots in your team can be virtually any character in the game. This indicates that Furina is both extremely binding and flexible. She requires a healer, but works with any DPS. For the benefits that she can offer to your team, I think this is well worth its price. And that's all I have for today. I hope this was helpful or inspired you to pull for this mind-bogglingly strong character. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.